Ag Life, presented by ADM Lloydminster.
Hello again and welcome to our agriculture show, Ag Life. I'm Gerard Lampow, and on the menu we learn some more about dealing with the emerging technology that's coming in the world of agriculture. Plus, we have our second visit with the Englots on real farm lives, and some 4-H kids will be putting the icing on the cake. But first, time for another chat with ADM's John O'Donnell. And we know ADM processes canola seed here in Lloydminster, and from that seed we get meal and oil. But how does the process actually work? And of course, John, we start with the seed.
Everything that's coming in by truck off the farm is going to be mechanically probed and tested for quality. And then once it's approved, we would then elevate that up into large grain storage bins that feed the plant. From there, we would go ahead and pull that seed into the plant through a series of cleaners, because we don't want any foreign materials such as rocks or anything else that could have been picked up to enter the overall manufacturing process. And there we would then go through a series of flaking rolls. And so what we're trying to do is rupture the seed coat and then really expand the surface area of the seed before it would go into a conditioning process. So that next sample you see on the table there would be canola flakes.
Yeah, the flaked canola, and we'll have a good look at it there. Doesn't look quite like your snowflakes, but I'll take it that it's flakes. And of course, it comes from the seed that you brought in there.
Exactly, yeah. So we haven't removed any oil at this process. So we're going to take this seed flake and we would run it through what we call our flake conditioner, which is really just a heater.
Okay.
And so ideally, you want to bring this up to the proper temperature to really press.
What temperature is that, pray tell?
I can't.
Very hot.
Yeah, very hot. Very hot. So we would bring those temperatures up, and then we would run that through actually a screw press, which we call an expeller. And from the expellers, we're taking out about 75% of the oil content that would still be in this flake. And so you're going to have oil that's going to be flowing into one stream, and then you're going to have what we call expeller or extractor cake. It's the cake that would enter the extractor that we would further process to get that oil content down to really the goal of less than 1%.
So then in terms of, how much oil then is typically present as you move from the extractor cake or expeller cake to the next part of the process?
So we started with about 45% oil in the canola, and then as you move through that expeller, we're removing about 75%, so about 25% of the seed's oil is still present in that expeller cake moving into the extractor. Once we go into the extractor, we're going to treat that with a solvent. That solvent would attach itself to the oil, and then we would work that through a distillation process to recover that oil. And the meal itself then would go through, and you would have essentially a spent flake is what we would call it. That spent flake now has less than, hopefully on our goal, about 1% oil content. And then that's going to be what we actually then pelletize and ship out as pellets from the plant. That's going to service a variety of different functions, primarily animal feed.
So we move basically from the oil to the pellets. Maybe I could have a look at that there quickly. So these are the pellets, and this is what you're looking at. This is the meal or the animal feed, as you say it.
Exactly right. So we pelletize because we ship most of the product here by rail. So density purposes, you can get a lot more weight in a rail car. If we ship a rail car of pellets, you're getting about 100 ton of pellets per rail car, when if you shipped meal, you'd average closer to around 75 to 80 tons.
Wow.
So that's really for a freight play more than anything.
Yeah.
But whether it's meal or pellet, same product.
Yeah.
And then from that process still, that would get you to the meal. That oil that would then have been taken out in extraction, once that's gone through the distillation process and had the solvent removed, we recommingle that back with the oil that was taken off the expellers, and that would leave you with our oil that we would then have an opportunity to further process into degumming, or it could be further refined, and then we have the ability to produce biodiesel on site as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Because people think of canola oil and you see it in the grocery for cooking and all of that. I guess that's all further processing going on there.
Yeah, all further processing there. Essentially, you could take that oil, refine it, bleach it, and then deodorize to make what would be your typical RBD or food grade oil that you see on the shelves. We don't have those capabilities here locally, but we do have those capabilities as a company at other facilities. And we do that with a variety of oils across the company, whether it be soy, canola, sunflowers. It's really an endless count.
Yeah, it's amazing really, because I mean, we look at the canola growing process from the time the snow melts off, seed goes in the ground, and then harvest time, and you want to get this kind of coloration going here to make a good harvest. Some folks have struggled with harvest this past season here because it's been so damp and wet. They're drying the grain at the moment. But you get through all of these various processes to the meal and then the oil.
That's correct.
I find that amazing, and all of that happens right here in Lloydminster.
Absolutely.
And ADM is doing this similar process, of course, in other plants right around the world.
That's correct, yeah. A variety of different commodities, but here at Lloydminster, our focus is purely on the canola.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really part of the food story that folks, we need to come to that kind of understanding about that. We see the plant there, we pass it daily, and we see the lineup of folks with trucks bringing in their seed that they've spent all season to get. And hats off to you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. And we couldn't do it without the farmers, right? So those trucks and those deliveries coming off farm are what drives the facility here. And that way we can make products that are going to go on and further be processed into anything from food products, animal feed products to energy.
John O'Donnell, the commercial manager there with ADM. Well, time now to roll our events calendar. And again, if you want to be on this part of the show, simply email me, glampow@newcap.ca. Let's have a look. And still to come, a chat about emerging technology in agriculture. Do stay with us.
This segment of Ag Life is brought to you by Webb's Machinery. Webb's Machinery, your New Holland dealer in Vermilion, Vegreville, and Lamont.
Welcome back. Knowing your operation and understanding your needs will remain key to unlocking the technology genie. I said it. Now, I get some insights as young farmers face the future.
With robotics and AI, precision agriculture.
I think the most important thing is to not be fearful and to not let your emotions get in the way of being hesitant to try new technology on your operation or in your business in agriculture.
Surviving and thriving in an era of automation is a topic that Professor Ramona Pringle breaks down for the young farmers at FCC Ignite.
Really how young farmers especially need to be working with technology, how they can be working with technology, but some of the sort of skills and some of the knowledge they need to gain in order to do that in a way that they're comfortable with, where they can really make the most of it.
As world population continues to grow, Pringle estimates that food output needs to increase by 60 to 70% by 2050. Farms need technology to meet the demand, but there are barriers.
Cost is really high. These tools are expensive and people are unsure of whether they're going to see return on investment. There's also the time, the sort of concern about the investment of time and the cost related to time that's needed to learn how to use these new tools, that's needed to learn this kind of digital literacy. And then some of the other concerns just have to do with the fact that there are so many tools and so many options that it can seem overwhelming and not knowing where to begin.
Pringle says a fundamental hurdle is trust.
You know, because our day-to-day lives, our personal lives are so digital now, whether it's Google or Amazon or Facebook, and because of all the stories we're hearing about how they collect and manipulate our data, I think people are increasingly wary about using some of these tools in the farm, in the scenario of their farms, because of some of those unknown factors, risk factors, and security factors.
As technology advances, Pringle encourages young farmers to not get overwhelmed. She says people are already using a lot of farm management software.
I'm certain that over the course of their careers, over the next 40 or 50 years, they will use all of these tools. They will be using artificial intelligence and robotics and data and sensors and the Internet of Things. It's all going to take place in the farms of the future.
At the end of the day, farmers know their business, so Pringle says to identify the first problem you want to tackle.
You know, the people in Silicon Valley don't have those answers. It's the individual farmers who know their businesses better than anyone else.
And that is so true, individual farmers knowing their operation. Well, when we come back, it's time for Real Farm Lives. We have the second part of our visit with the Englot family of Montmort, Saskatchewan. Well, once again, we are truly grateful to Real Farm Lives for sharing their content with us. And this farm family, they've got over 3,000 acres of soybeans, canola, and as well a whole bunch more too. Madison Englot, she's returning from the U of S and she's giving back on the farm. So courtesy Real Farm Lives, let's meet the Englots of Montmort, Saskatchewan.
Soil is creator of life. We all eat what comes out of the ground, so it kind of starts from the ground up. Hi, I'm Madison Englots, and this is my dad, Norm. We farm 5 miles south of Montmort, which is an hour southeast of Regina. We are part of the family farm, which my grandma and grandpa started. We farm about 3,000 acres, and we have canola, durum, and soybeans. I've been in school for 3 years now at the University of Saskatchewan. We spend lots of money on textbooks and stuff going through university, and I feel my dad as a resource and our family farm has been a resource that's way better than a textbook. I started off, farming wasn't my biggest interest. I had tons of things to do off the farm. As I got older, the idea of the family farm started to kind of interest me. Ended up going to school for agronomy, which is weed identification, disease identification, qualities of soil, and how they kind of play their part into what comes up out of the ground.
In my life, I've never seen this slough dry. We didn't get any snow for 2 years, right? So it's...
No kidding.
This slough is...
But
a few years back, there was a moose in there, water was up to its belly, and now there's cupfuls of water in there. The crops pulled through. I guess that 6 inches of rain in June helped a lot.
They had enough just to kind of get the start, and then
Yeah.
when I'm home for the summer from school, my job kind of now is helping Dad out, checking the crops, just kind of a second opinion as much as possible. He knows quite a bit, so I just try and help out where I can. Today into the canola field, we're looking maturity-wise, what stage everything's kind of looking like, whether we're almost time to spray to get ready for harvest, whether we had any disease come through this growing season, and if there's any sort of bugs coming out now. Do you see any flea beetles in here?
Straight here, look at flea beetles right here. Look at that. Jumping, look at them.
Look at them. Oh, they jump. Oh, they're on my hand.
That's what's tough to see.
They're pretty small.
But look at the damage.
Look, it's just like a net.
On the edge of the plant.
But they're gone. They've jumped away.
Jumped.
Yeah, I've scared them away. But there's more on this plant here. Look at.
Oh, and I found a thrip pod, Dad.
A what?
A thrip pod.
What's that mean?
So thrip bugs will come and bite on the pod, and then the pod will curl towards the bite.
Well, I was wondering what that was.
But the seeds will actually still mature. So that's why you don't ever have to worry about spraying any insecticides for thrip, because they actually don't have any economic damage. Giving advice to my dad, it's super rewarding for me. It really shows me that the education that he helped me work towards, it's actually paying off. I always joked with him, I said, you can't quit farming until I'm done my degree, because I want to be able to tell you what to do. I don't think that'll ever really happen.
I love actually being in the field with Madison. It's nice to see that she cares about the farm and wants to learn and actually is teaching me something.
Yeah, really cool to teach him something. That's super fun.
You teach an old dog new tricks, eh?
Yeah.
Go up to that spot right there.
Yeah, that one's probably the farthest behind, hey?
Yeah, I want to compare, but we got to let that low spot get, I don't know how close do we got to let it get?
You have to look at seed maturity, so you want to make sure the seeds are at 75 to 80% mature.
Well, the crop's getting better here,
It is.
but look at,
This is still pretty green, hey?
this is really green seed. Look
Still,
at this.
like the seeds are so bright green, so
Those are really green.
super green. So majority of the field has seeds, has green seeds, which is too early to spray for desiccation. Let's take, what do we have here? Don't want to lose all my seeds.
Those are all black.
You definitely spray for desiccation at this stage.
You would. And that's green though.
And this is too green.
Well, that'll be a week at least before we're spraying that.
This is quite a ways.
Yeah.
If we get more heat and dry weather, it's gonna turn real quick though.
So we're so dry. Look at how small the seeds are when we get
They
this
are.
dry. Okay, let's go back to the yard.
Oh yeah, okay.
My name is Loretta Englot. I am the combine driver.
Take it to the shop.
I enjoy sitting in the combine. I get to listen to whatever I want.
She's been driving the combine since, I don't know, as long as I can remember. When I see her in there, I don't look twice. It's just what it is.
Loretta's a very good combine operator. She's easy on the machinery. She's very confident in there.
I'm gonna go get my stuff for the windows.
I jump in the seat and I'm more prone to push than she is, and I probably plug it, and she never does that. With Loretta being in the combine and running the hours and enjoying it the way she does, it just makes sense for her to be in there. It excites me that they still want to come home. That's the most important thing I see. And the family farm still has a chance.
It's really rewarding to know that I can contribute to my dad's pride and glory with a little bit of knowledge to help him out and maybe eventually help my brother out on our farm. The 3 years in university and coming to the near finish line, I guess, I'm just thankful that you raised us like this. This is super, super cool that we grew up a part of something that you love so much. It means a lot to me as somebody just going into the industry, and made me appreciate what you've done for us.
It is nice to see you kids take pride in knowing that you always listen and that you know hard work will pay off one day.
There you have it, part 2, the Englots Real Farm Lives. We've got 4 parts again to go in this series, and we'll be heading across the country in the next episode of Ag Life to show you what folks in Ontario do on the farm. Right, still to come, some 4-H kids are learning the art of cake decorating. Do stay with us.
Ag Life, presented by ADM Lloydminster.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks again for choosing Ag Life. And just as a good pie starts with the crust, the beauty of a good cake begins with the decoration. I had the chance to discover the art of putting the icing on the cake.
Here you go. Got yourself a rosette.
I used to, when my grandma would bake with me, we would always, afterwards decorate the cupcakes or cakes. And then that was, really fun to me when I was little. So then now I do it again.
9-year-old Rowan McLeod has 2 years in 4-H and is doing cake decorating this year. The group's leader has had her kids in 4-H for the last 3 years.
Most kids have an interest in cooking and or baking, and so I think there was a lot of excitement when they found out, because this is our first year having a cake decorating. We had K9 and outdoor living and things like that in the past, but it was really exciting, I think, for kids to learn different techniques.
Bender is actively involved in cake decorating and selling cakes. She knows just how much her kids get excited.
You get to make the icing, and you get to decorate them, and then later you get to eat them.
You just push it down, and then you lift up a little, and you go around, and around enough to fill the entire cupcake up. So I just think it's exciting for them to think of that they can create something and learn these different techniques that even some adults don't necessarily know how to do. So it's something that they feel some pride about, and there's a lot of interest in it. So.
It's Bender's first year as a leader.
I was asked specifically to do it, and the reason why I accepted is just because it's such a good opportunity for the kids. Living in a small town, there's not always a whole lot to put our kids in, or if we do have something to put them in, it's often traveling to Meadow Lake or Cold Lake or Pierceland or whatever the case. So it's nice to have something right here in town. Whoa. The program is so great. It's not just about the activities, but there's also meetings, like they have president, vice president, they elect, they do business meetings, they take minutes, they do public speaking, they go to different events. It's just such a great program for kids.
You should do this. This is fun. Like, I've been in it, and it's really fun.
Yes, indeed. We'll have another visit with those 4-H kids from Goodsoil in our next edition of Ag Life. And because you guys have been sending in so many events, and I'm asking you if you're shooting anything for TV or you're sending in events, send it in this looking like that. That'd be how you want to see it on the TV. TV is like this, okay? So let's have a second look at the many events going on around our community. Well, that's a wrap on this edition of Ag Life. From all of us, the entire team, wishing you the very best. Yours in Ag, I'm Gerard Lampow. We'll see you next time.